What's up? We're live, episode 102. Before the train wreck, the only show on the internet that stops you from making a train wreck out of your life, gentlemen. We have a show tonight. I did a survey this week on the community tab of the channel. How many results did we get again? It's quite a lot. 34,000 results out of this. It's about 30,000 the other day when I posted the event, but 75% of men these days are no longer recommending marriage to guys. Some guys cracked a joke out of that. Well, why would I want to marry a guy, Rich? Okay, you can twist the language around, but you get the point, right? Dudes, married or divorced, are no longer recommending marriage anymore. And I'm going to get into some of those reasons why tonight. Doing 90 minutes. We should be done by 9:30. Hopefully we have some time to take some call-ins. Try to keep the call-ins on topic. So if you have a better solution than what I'm going to provide tonight, happy to talk about that with anybody or an experience to share. It's all there. Let's do it. Before we get started, got to do a little housekeeping. Where's my link here? There we go. I'm going to drop the link. If you guys are on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else, just do me a solid and click this link and come on over to YouTube. Just helps with the algorithms. Right. And make sure you hit the like button too. Just helps push it out in the notification feed to everybody so they get notice of it. We got almost 200 guys watching, 100 likes. Get those likes up, guys. It doesn't cost anything to hit the like button. All right. What should I start with here? I got a few windows open. I have an email from a high-level surgeon, which I'll read after I got a video here. So let's do this video here. It's a quick 45-second video. Add to stream. There we go. Let's make sure I got my volume on. If you guys can't hear it, let me know in the comments, but I think I got it set up right. So just listen to this. This is a clip from Support Court is what it says here in the corner, which I don't know. It's a Hollywood TV show, obviously. So some of this is going to be manufactured, but I've heard versions of this over the years from guys that I've had one-on-one consults with. I've had guys call in. And if you've watched the series long enough, you've seen me talk to other guys that have shared their experiences. I had a guy on a couple months ago. His wife tried to poison him during the divorce. But let's hear what this fine lady has to say here. Let's go see if I can put it up on the full screen here for you to get a better view. Let's see what we're dealing with. Does that go up there? No, it looks like crap. Let's go this way. That's bigger. Okay, here we go. Play. Spinning wheel of death doesn't want to play, of course. Come on, let's go. Always my luck. Okay, let's try this. Let's just refresh this and see what happens. Okay, we got it working now.
11?
Here we go.
Kid.
So you're a stay-at-home mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she's 11.
He is
11.
Uh-huh.
He goes to school.
He does.
Oh, come on. Let's try that again.
Nothing. He is
11.
Uh-huh.
He goes to school.
He does.
So what do you do during the day?
Nothing.
You don't want to work.
No.
So you're just living off of his child support.
I am, and we live with our mother.
And you're
Now, child support is designed to support the child. Okay? That's why it's called child support. In my book, in the chapter about why smart men don't marry, Unplugged Alpha on Amazon, I outlined a story, a friend of mine, who calculated while he was married, he was paying roughly about $550 a month, I think it was, to take care of the necessities for the child, you know, toiletries, diapers, baby food, formula, all that kind of stuff. When you split up, when you plug in your income into the child support tables, which again is supposed to be for child support, worked out to close to $4,500. So more often than not, child support doesn't go to care for the child when the child's not in your care. It first goes to the mother. She scrapes off what she needs, and then the leftover goes to the child. That's the way family law works. Let's carry on here.
You're proud of that?
Well, we were living with him, and I was a stay-at-home mom. He made the income,
Okay.
but I mean,
But you can work now, right?
I can, but
So it's no but you can go get a job, right?
I could, but I'm not going to. My rent's free. My food is free. I mean, my mom's the homeowner. We don't have to pay nothing.
Okay. You know,
All right. So she's a stay-at-home mom, or she was a stay-at-home mom to one child who's 11 and now in school. And she's in family court trying to get money out of the old man, out of the dad. Again, this is just one example. Now, I'm going to read off some of the other stuff that we got from that survey that I dropped in there. I got an email from a doctor. He's a surgeon. I'm not going to say what his practice is, but where's the description? It says legendary divorce is his story, which I'll share in a moment. But let me go and put this up on the screen now. Stop that and share screen here. You guys are going to be in for a rude awakening tonight. I'm about to crush some comforting lies. Bomber Command is coming online. All right, so here it is. So if you don't know where this is in the channel, there's home video playlists and community. The community tab should pop up in your feed if you're subscribed to the channel. More often than not, it'll show up more if you got a notification bell hit. But I did this survey 4 days ago. It's got 34,000 results, basically asking dudes, married or divorced, would you recommend marriage? And only 25% yes, and 75% said no. Now, I'm not opposed to marriage. I'm opposed to the way marriage works in today's world. It's just hostile towards men. It's hostile towards fathers. It's all risk on the men's side and all reward on the mother's side or the wife's side. In some cases, there's no children that come out of the marriage, which doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what's the point in living with a woman and marrying her if you're not going to have kids? Like, that should be the selling feature of abandoning your sexual strategy of unlimited access to unlimited women, right? Because more often than not, you subscribe to monogamy and you don't get access to anything else. You get no strange, right? So why would you do that if you weren't having kids? But let's see what came out of this here. Let's see here. Never sign a contract. Michael Haynes says, never sign a contract with someone who gets paid to break it. Yeah. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. You know what? Let's do it this way. Boom. Okay. Never sign a contract with someone who gets paid to break it. There's no lie there, right? When you engage into a marriage, you're inviting the state into your household. The state, when you untie the knot, gets to decide what happens. I always tell dudes, look, if you're going to go and get married, if you're going to go and invite the state into your home, make sure you do it all on your terms, because if you have to untie the knot, it's generally speaking going to be on her terms if you're in a Western modern country. It's just the way that it is. This gentleman here says, the loneliest I ever felt was laying in bed next to the woman who is contractually entitled to my assets, but emotionally and physically non-existent. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's some stuff you can do once you start to learn about the red pill and how that awakens men and how to try to apply some game to the relationship. But more often than not, for most guys, it's going to be too late. It's literally a scenario where they would need to take it around back behind the barn, beat it with a stick and bury it 6 feet under, and then just end that union. It's not something that most guys find a way to salvage. And in most cases, this is how they live. Another stat, which I applied again in my book, Unplugged Alpha, available on Amazon. There was a study done by Aaron and Aceto, I think was the name of the research group. It's cited in there, the correct spelling if you want to look it up. But they followed couples over a period, I think it was an average of 8.3 years. And during that time, they found out that only 13% of couples still live in a state of love for one another. And only 3% live in a state of bliss. Okay, like they're obsessed with one another. So after 8 years, only 13% are still digging each other's vibes. That's not a very good success ratio. And I don't know about you, but before I did the show, I took a quick look, like around friends, family, like people that I know. Like in actuality, a friend of mine who's probably watching this right now called me about 15 minutes before the show about what's going on in his divorce. So when you take a look around and, you look at your friends, your family, the people in your network, around, how many of them do you actually know that have been married for more than 10 years that are still happy with each other? Just marinate on that for a second. I'm going to pour myself a little bit of tea here. We got the red pill pot here going on. But just think about that, because I took a look around and I only know one dude who's still happily married. Been married for over 20 years. Has a great relationship with his wife. I've spent a lot of time with both of them. His kids are great, but he had a lot of hiccups along the way. Had quite a few hiccups along the way. They almost got divorced a couple times. A lot of stuff happens along the way. It's not an easy thing to manage. And a lot of guys have it in their heads that all I need to do is find that one girl who will just let me be myself. And I got away today. I had to drop off the McLaren at the dealership to fix a glass roof. I got away today recording a video on that topic in a little more depth. So I'm not going to give it away. That'll be out in the channel in the next week or so. But it just doesn't work that way. The guitar doctor here says, happily married for over 21 years currently, an anomaly, but wouldn't recommend getting married unless you wanted a family. That's the point that I made earlier. What's the point in giving up your sexual strategy of unlimited access to unlimited women if you're not going to have kids? You will need to be willing to work the rest of your life to support others as well as carry on their burdens. If no family is involved, then you have the same kind of relationship or better with the state recognized contract being involved. It's not lying. Clay Nation here says, as an adult, I would not put up with another adult acting like a toddler and never taking accountability one day, then thinking everything was okay the next day. Women today are a lot different from what I grew up watching. Like growing up as a kid, you'd watch TV shows and, like even the early stuff when I was a little child, like Leave It to Beaver and all that sort of stuff. And you had this notion you just come home from work and everything would be hunky-dory and dinner would have been on the table and the house would be clean and the children would be, like in your frame and obedient, not screaming and having hissy fits and spazzes everywhere. But most guys crack and hustle at work all day, and they find out that they come home and they have to crack and hustle, over life with their wife. She's giving them a hard time, or she's chirping them about something. That's got to get done. This has got to get done. This is not good enough. Why can't you be more like David? David takes care of Shelly, and look at Shelly. Da 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 da. They don't want to come home to that. They don't want to fight for making the money and then fight for their life after work. They're already exhausted from doing the work during the day. A lot of guys get really, really frustrated with that. Anyway, let's keep going down through this list here. Once upon a time, a man asked a beautiful woman to marry him. She said no, and he lived happily ever after. Our Drizzle's got a super chat there. Appreciate your insight and wisdom. Thank you. Dave Snyder, I am twice divorced, and let me tell you, you never truly know a woman until you divorce her. I've said this before. The woman you marry is never the same woman that you divorce. Do not get married. There's no benefit to a man. There really isn't. There really isn't. There may be initial benefits, but the amount of work that you need to do to maintain the benefits is quite exhausting for most guys, and they don't have the frame in which to complete that successfully. It's very, very tough for dudes. There's a lot of stories out there, and like I should clarify my story so you guys understand. Yes, I'm divorced. Yes, I was married, but I'm more of the anomaly out there. I was the one that initiated the divorce. In most cases, 80 to 90% of the time, women initiate the divorce. And I did all the right things during the course of divorce so I could have shared custody of my child. Most guys don't get shared custody of their children. They end up with the every other weekend screw over daddy deal. I'm lucky in the sense that I still get to have influence, and there's no unilateral decisions made without my consent. It's a difficult process. Twice divorced. Okay, we got another guy here that's divorced twice. Can't express how thankful I am that they didn't work out. I am going to school 100% free from the GI Bill, living alone and loving how peaceful it is once you drop what society wants you to do and do. The guy's living life on his term. We have a widower here. He says, she was the most amazing person I'd ever met. There was no fear of either of us hurting each other in any way. We each wanted what was best for one another. Unabated true love, the number one key to, and ... He didn't finish the sentence, but looks like this was one of the guys that would have recommended marriage. Again, you know, a widower had lost his wife. I don't know too many widowers. I think I know, I'm counting off fingers now, probably one or two. I know two for sure. They both would say the same thing. They missed their wives. She was a great mother. She was the best thing that ever happened. They lost them usually to, you know, terminal diseases after somewhere between 10 and 15 years. But you know, they make the most out of it. Dude over here says, I met a girl at Target, moved in with her, got her pregnant after a year and had a kid. 5 years later, didn't work out. We're separated, and I thank my lucky stars I never got married. I'm now in a recovering BET. I don't know what that is. BET? I don't know. Ben, I was a loyal, dutiful beta for both of my exes. So this dude was married twice. The only reason I actually have a home is that I was never legally married. Spent over $150,000 in family court in 8 years. Wait till I tell you the story from this doctor, how much money he spent in family court. It's ridiculous. Spent 150 grand in family court in 8 years just to not be pushed out of my kids' lives when I was the one who got cheated on both times. It's amazing that dudes can be completely double-crossed, and then women still think that they have the right to take his children away from him. And then you've got to go and spend $150,000 for the privilege, and I'm going to put that quote, you know, for the privilege of family law, for the government letting you see your own children. Dude spent 150 grand to see his own kids when both of his ex-wives cheated on him. Now, I have primary custody of my oldest due to his stepfather abusing him. That's the other problem too. Marriages untie the knot. Your ex-wife then takes your kid or children, and now they have the potential risk of being exposed to some other psychopath in that household if she doesn't have the ability to invite the right guy into her new life. So there's other risks that are involved there too, right? System even tried pinning the abuse on me. It's pretty common, you know. Guys get the false domestic violence charges. It's very effective for getting men out of the house. Women know about the strategy. Most women do anyway. What most guys will find and what they'll be surprised by, I'm not surprised by it, you know, anymore. When I hear it coming, I'm like, oh, and there it is women often plan this long in advance before you started to even think about it. Could be 6 months, could be 12 months. I've seen as much as 2 years in advance. In certain states, you know, for example, if you're married for a certain period of time, I think in California, if it's 10 years, then you get alimony for life. So it's not uncommon for a woman that's, you know, 7 or 8 years into a marriage just to suck it up for another, you know, 2 to 3 years so they can get the free payday for the rest of her life, especially if she's married a rich guy that has his money sorted. She'll just keep it quiet and do what she's got to do to go through the motions. You know, well, Your Honor, I was a dutiful wife for a full 10 years and I loved him and I raised the children and blah, 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 blah. And I need half of his shit for life. Strong independent, right? Let me catch up with these super chats over here. Mexi Mike says, no surprise that the successful union from a couple raised and subscriber to 2 to 3 decade old paradigm versus, us millennial Zers will have to adjust according to current landscape. I'll work towards LTR at best. Yeah. Marriage isn't a good deal for guys today. You know, again, the chapter in my book is why smart men don't marry. Thanks for the big super chat, Rice Farmer. Appreciate that. That's very generous of you. Mystic River. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. Like the one time I got married, stay single and have a happy life. You'll spare the children from a life of emotional abuse. They will be taught to hate you. That's what a lot of men find out is. So what he's talking about there is parental alienation. And parental alienation sucks because as I scroll up over here, where was the 150K dude? This guy spent $150,000 to see his kids to not be pushed out of their lives. What this guy's describing here is what a lot of moms do, where they try to manufacture indignation between the child or children and the father, and they'll make it seem like he's a bad guy. He was an inattentive father. He was abusive. I've heard stories where mothers make up bullshit stories about how the father would hit you when you were a baby or abuse you. None of these things ever happened. But whatever they can get away with that will support their story will be used. Like the gentleman earlier said, never sign a contract while the other party is rewarded for breaking it. There's no contract in business, in corporate, in any other arena that I've ever come across anyway, where there's a big incentive for one of the two parties to break the contract. And that's what family law does. It incentivizes the mother to break the contract and richly rewards her in many different ways: alimony, child support, using false allegations to gain control. There's lots of things that happen. All of them I break down in great detail in that chapter of the book. So definitely take a look at it if marriage is something that you're contemplating. At least if you're going to walk into the slaughterhouse, do it with your eyes wide open, is what I always tell guys. Here's one here from DJ. He says, I've been married for 19 years. And even though I'm mostly happily married, the overwhelming majority of modern women aren't marriageable. They want to be married, but they don't know how to be wives. He's correct. Why does this keep cutting off over here? Let me just... Oh, I see what it is. Okay, it's because I zoomed in too much. That's why they keep cutting off. Where did this one go? Tried pinning the abuse on me. Beta, don't shop at Target. Yeah, scroll down, of course. Okay, here we go. Now I see in color when she drops society. Okay, yeah. So let me finish a few of these that I missed. When she drops society wants to, you do, life becomes much more meaningful. I feel like I was seeing in black and gray. So this dude, Rostek, who was talking about being divorced twice, saw in black and white. Now he sees in color since he's taken the red pill, right? Got the widower, got the Target guy. Now I'm a recovering beta. Moral of the story, don't shop at Target. Don't marry chicks from Target. That's another good tip. Abuse on me, emotional abuse, children will be marriage. Okay, here we go. They want to be married. They don't know how to be wives. I'm handing my sons Richard and Rollo's books when the time comes. It's not a bad idea. Most women today don't know how to be wives. He's right. I'm going to have to do a video on this at some point and break down some of these facts, but that's the reality. They don't understand that men don't want to be married to dudes. But the problem is feminism in its toxic form today encourages women to behave like men, right? Go get the degree, go get the job, basically the 6'6" minus, the 6 inches in the pants because she's a chick, obviously. But they think that men want to be with these, basically dudes with a vagina, and they don't. Men want a woman who is agreeable, who is kind, who is supporting their mission, who enters their frame. If they're having kids, then to be a good mother, to be considerate, to have culinary skills, to know how to cook, for crying out loud. I had a sponsored video from a guy. I don't think I've released it on the channel yet, but his story was basically, I have the perfect wife except for she's a slob. She's basically stay at home or works part-time, except for she's a slob. And it's like, all right, we have one or two choices, or three actually. You can either yell at her and make her clean the house. You can just let it be and live in a pigsty and get a cleaning lady, or you can divorce her. The tone of his email was like, I'm serious about leaving this chick. But honestly, the way that I put it is, it would cost you less if she's such a perfect wife to just hire a cleaning lady to do the tidying up. But, that's the state of modern women today. They're not particularly good at, entering a man's frame. I mean, the other problem is a lot of them have a massive notch count. And we know how poorly women are at forming a healthy pair bond to a guy when they have a big notch count. Anything after 3, according to the studies that I collected and put in my book, is about a 35% chance of divorce. Virgin or 1 is quite low. It's like 5%. So, I mean, you think you're going to find a chick with a notch count lower than 10 nowadays? Like, some of them are walking around with hundreds. Okay, we're not even talking 2 digits. We're talking 3 digits or more, and they're proud of it, right? Well, if men can be sluts, we can't, we too. And then the funny thing is I get yelled at. Okay, like I'll get DMs or I'll get emails from women. Well, you're telling men to, spin plates and do all this, and then in the other this, you tell them not to be sluts. Well, they're behaving like that anyway. That's the state of the landscape. Women are promiscuous with impunity today. They don't preserve their virginity. They don't preserve their value. They expect men to create value. They expect men to be able to make bank and put a dent in the universe, but they don't preserve their value for men. One of the comments that I saw at one point, some dude said, "No hymen, no diamond." That's the way it used to be, for the most part, right? I'm 17. I have no intention to get married. Even at this age, I've learned not to take women seriously. 17-year-old is at that point. Chet says, because you're bringing the government into your relationship with a woman, and that comes with more long-term negatives than positives. There was a book that I read. Her name was Esther Perel. I don't know if you guys follow her or not. She's a smart chick. I met her at a conference about 10 years ago. She's done a TED Talk since and put out a couple of really good books. And one of the things that she summarized in one of her books, and she deals with relationships, infidelity, cheating, all that kind of stuff, was that men, when it comes to desire, so men's desire, it just wanes kind of slowly over time with women. Like, we all become less interested in the other sex. But with women, it's like a hockey stick. It's like immediately it's like boom, straight down off a cliff. And then it kind of, look, my hand's not even on the screen. It's like up here, boom, and then just kind of like wanes down like that slowly. Whereas men, it's more steady like that. And that's just a fact of life, Why would you sign a contract where the other party's encouraged to break that contract, and her biological imperative is like this? On top of that, you always have to be on your game. You have to chase excellence. You have to put a dent in the universe. She's got to wake up every morning and look at you like you're her best option. If not, maybe that's when the chirping starts to become betatization through 1,000 concessions. These are all things that, do tend to happen. Let's see what else we got here. What's our timeline? We're at 26 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do a few more of these, and I want to read that email that I got from that doctor. Got a few super chats here. Let me catch up real quick. Rice Farmer, your channel has really helped me turn my personal life around. I've been a divorce attorney for 10 years, but your insights have really helped my personal life. Don't get married. We got a divorce lawyer in the chat right now saying don't get married. My channel has helped him. You're welcome, brother. There's another one here. Let me scroll down here. Okay. Benjamin, thanks for reading my comment. I elaborate more in the replies. I send your vids to my friends who need it, and even bought 2 copies of your book to share. I tell all my friends not to get married now. Yeah. If you do get the book, you print. They could cancel the book. They could take it off Amazon. Who knows? The crazy harpies could lose their mind. They could delete it from Audible. This won't go away once you order the copy. So if you want to be able to have something to hand out, get a print copy. It's something you can put on a shelf. It's just my preference too, even though I do listen to the Audible books for the most part. You guys, yeah, Mating in Captivity is a book that I was referencing. Yeah. She's got about 2 or 3 books. So if you look her up as an author, there's some interesting data there. I'm going to open the lines if you guys want to call in a little bit. So just sit tight. It's open to young, old, men and women. If you have a better solution to this problem than what I do, let's hear it. But we'll definitely open those lines in a sec. Give me a second here. I was psychologically abused by my ex. She called me trash, a worthless piece of S, told me I was an evil person, and said I deserved the worst that can happen to a person, and called me many more things. This is all I want to say. This is one of the guys that's not encouraging marriage. I believe Bill Burr summed up marriage best as, "Oh, is this the lion to lose half my shit?" And yet Bill Burr still got married. Now, I'm a big fan of stand-up comedy, and Bill Burr is one of my favorite comics, if I'm being honest. And I've been watching a few of the clips where he talks about relationships. There was one where his wife was chirping him in the background as he was doing his podcast. And I can tell that the clock is ticking down to the end of that marriage. I'm not saying it's going to end, but don't be surprised if Bill Burr has a stand-up comedy coming out soon in the next couple of years, similar to, who is it, Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle? The one about tambourine, What was the lyric from that one? I think it was Chris Rock, and he said something along the lines of, "Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally." This is what he learned in his divorce. Men are only loved under the condition that they provide something of use to the relationship. Basically, Briffault's law, right? That's what it boils down to. Speed Freak. Oh, Generous super chat. Thanks, bro. Hey, Rich, I've been unplugged for about 6 months now and just want to say thank you for your content. Book and The Rational Male has been a great help. You're very welcome, bro. I'm glad you've enjoyed it, and definitely read the Rational Male book series if you have not. Rollo is the man. That's just great content that he's put in his books. The first 2 books at a bare minimum is what I always tell guys. A married man here, Hayden, says, I'm a married man. It feels no different being married versus just living together. Don't get married. Why would you get married? It's you're going to spend all that money to throw a party for one day. And by the way, guys, another stat that I came across when I was researching info for the book is the more money you spend on a wedding, the higher the likelihood of a divorce. So if you do a destination wedding on a beach somewhere with just family and friends, a couple of jizzle here and there, that's all you spend, that has a longer or a better chance of success over long term versus the $100,000 big extravagant with band, doilies, centerpieces on a table, 17 courses, balloons, cakes, dinner table, cold table, open bar, warm bar, fucking DJ, all that stuff that piles up. It's expensive. Okay. Don't spend the money on all that shit, if you're going to do it. Divorce after a 10-year marriage. I can easily say that involving the state in my love life was the biggest mistake I ever made. And nobody tells guys this, maybe except for me. But not many people get this information. They don't hear this before they go and walk into the slaughterhouse. When I got married, of course you have to go, because you have to have a church ceremony. I'm not religious. The other side of the family was religious. So you got to have a church ceremony. So you have to sit down with the priest or whoever he was that conducted the ceremony. He said nothing. He spent 4 hours lecturing about love and marriage and your obligations and blah, blah, fucking blah. I didn't hear anything about how I was inviting the state into my love life. Nick's right. There is no lie detected there. Married 26 years. Let's see what JR has to say. Married 26 years. Have had ups and downs. I realized long ago people fall in and out of love all the time. So I've prepared myself somewhat for that moment. We are from a different time. Nowadays, no way in hell would I recommend it. In fact, I actively not recommend it. Good luck and stay strong. Dude's been married for 26 years and he's saying don't do it. Stacy Goodall. So we have a chick here chiming in. Marriage is not the same anymore. It isn't taken seriously. There's like a million reasons, really. Let's just say this. The day I filed for divorce from my ex-wife, this is a dude named Stacy. The day I filed for divorce from my ex-wife and got her to sign the paper, or maybe a lesbian couple, I don't know, and got her to sign the papers was one of the biggest moments of relief in my life. I had my peace back. There's a joke about divorce. Why does divorce cost so much? Is the opening line. It's like, knock, knock. Why does divorce cost so much? Because it's worth it. It's not $1 million worth it, I can tell you that. There's other things you could do with $1 million, man. Marriage is one of those mistakes in life men should learn from others rather than make themselves. Rose saying, let me get the super. Do you recommend having read receipts on in dating or leaving them off? Talking about iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. I'm not sure how it works. I use an Android device. Whatever gets you results, bro. I can't really offer much feedback on that. If somebody in the chat can feedback on what read receipts are, I don't know what they are. Scotty P says, I've been divorced for 27 years now and I will never do it again. Angry Bus Driver says, I'm married. I didn't realize until late I bring more to the table than she does, and there are no rewards for being a step parent. I wish I wasn't that either. So not only did he get married, he got married to a single mommy and became a step parent. Big mistake, dude. I have a chapter in my book on why you don't get involved with single mommies. I've been involved with a single mommy. I'm speaking from experience. I don't mess with them anymore. I'm telling you right now, you have 100% responsibility as a man and a father to children that don't have your last name or your DNA with no authority whatsoever. That's what you walk into when you sign up for dating a single mommy. Spin them as a plate. Friends with benefits, fine. But don't wife these single mommies up, okay? Not your problem. Don't let their problems become your problems. These are the typical outcomes. You want to know more about it? Read the chapter in my book on why you want to stay away from single moms. Bachelor at 60 says Cardinal. I knew that I didn't want to get married at the age of 15 after seeing all the train wrecks in my family and among neighbors. Yeah, the success rate for marriage isn't terribly high, is it? It is not high at all. Mixie Mike says larger wedding equals higher divorce rate. Grape, and is no surprise. I would dare to suggest higher wedding costs equates to higher beta bucks. Simple religious unions translate to having desire for man and not rules ridding. When you start going through the planning process, yeah, exactly, Lee. You plate them, you don't date them. That's what you do with single moms. Oh, here's Chris on read receipts. The person you're sending a text can see when and if. Yeah, that's up to you if you want to play games like that. I mean, you're really just splitting hairs there. When you're doing the wedding planning, if it's basic, fine. Okay. When you start getting down to, well, Rich, do you want to put the purple doilies on the invites or the pink doilies? And what about the little sticky diamond you put on? You want to put a pink diamond or a purple diamond? Because I want the purple diamond with the purple doilies. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. Okay. Just get an invite and send it out. It shouldn't complicate your life. A woman should not complicate your life. If you find that you're involved with a woman right now and you're going through the planning process and your life is becoming unnecessarily complicated over the color of the doily or the sticky diamond you put on the fucking invite, it's time to take a close, hard look at what you're dealing with and recognize this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because once you say I do and the nuptials are done and then the representative leaves, because when you get married, you're getting married to a representative, right? You're dating the representative, the fiance is the representative. The real person that you're left with is going to be left with you for the rest of your life, sickness and health and poor and rich and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. That's what you're left with. The actor, the representative, often leaves after they say, I do. So you have to understand these little signals that you're getting, these little preludes to what you're potentially walking into are things that you need to listen to. Okay, so pay attention to them. Roseanne says, when it comes to exes or friends you no longer want in your life, should you respond cordially and always be too busy to hang out or completely ignore? It depends. If it comes to exes, just done. Like, they're exes for a reason. Just get rid of them. Okay. I mean, I know people that started up a business together, got married, they split up. Okay, you're going to have to talk to your ex. You got a kid together, you share custody, you're going to have to talk to your ex. Okay. You don't need to otherwise. Like, don't complicate your life if you exit a relationship or you get rid of crazy. Why would you still keep in touch with them? Now, as far as friends go, if it's somebody you've known for a while and they're an anchor in your life and they're not a sale, you have one of two choices. You keep it at arm's length. You don't respond to the text very often. You only see them, every once in a while. You limit your time with them, or you can just sit them down and say, look, I'm working on all these things and you're busy doing things that I'm not interested in. I'm just going to move on. Good luck. We'll catch up when we do. See you later. Peace. That's it. Yeah. I've said this line before. I'll put it up on the screen. When you break up with an ex, and they want shit from you, which they usually do, and you don't have a kid together, it's something stupid like the Wi-Fi is broken. How do I fix the Wi-Fi? Or, oh, my cat, there's something wrong with it. I want to talk to you. I don't work for you anymore. Okay? Because they still think that you work for them. They still think that you're good beta bucks. They still think that you've got to, comply with their little needs and desires and whims, all those, sort of things. I don't work for you anymore. Send the message loud and clear. And that works, by the way, if you're divorced and if you have kids as well, and she's bothering you about stuff that has nothing to do with the children, I don't work for you anymore. Okay? You figure it out on your own. You call your dad, you call your brother. I'm not coming over to fix your fucking plumbing or whatever it is that they're going to bother you with, right? Let's see if we got anything here that stands out. Because when she designs, let's see if we can find something positive. Like, there was 25% of the people that said that they would recommend it. Is there anything here that I can see? Okay, here's a guy that's married. I've been married and simply it invited complacency into the relationship. Well, yeah, guys relax and they think they can relax, but you can't relax in a marriage. You just can't. You always have to be on your game. She dropped her game. She thought I got you. And that's the other thing too. Like, you still have to be on your game. You still have to chase excellence. You still have to make sure that she wakes up every day going, this is the best that I can do. But she can get fat. She can lose her job. She can stay home. And you're still required to take care of things, right? there's not the same set of rules for both of you when that happens. Laziness crept in and things went downhill, kept on your game, kept dating each other. Keep her throwing that she can't get lazy and you can't either. Okay, so this dude's working hard at it. Come on, let me find something here that is positive. The difference of being on the end of a loaded shotgun and being on the end of a divorce settlement is that they are the same severity, but one is a second of pain and the agony, then oblivion, instead of 12 plus years of stretched out agony, humiliation, and emotional pain, loss and longing to see your estranged kids growing up without you, and you're freely giving your love and affection. One kills the body, the other kills the soul. That's fucked. I'm going to go full screen and read that again. The difference of being at the end of a loaded shotgun and being on the end of a divorce settlement is that they are the same severity, but one is a second of pain and the agony, then oblivion, instead of 12 plus years of stretched out agony, humiliation, and emotional pain, loss and longing to see your estranged children growing up without you and your freely given love and affection. One kills the body, the other kills the soul. Come on, let's see if we can find something positive. I am divorced and I don't recommend marriage. I met at 16, married at 18, now 35, divorced for 2 years. Feels like a lot of waste of time. Okay, I'm happily married. Here we go. Here's a positive one finally. I'm happily married 20 years and would recommend it. I think with a good woman, you can find a better balance, but I can't understand how hard it can be with the right person. How many did I go through before I found a truly positive comment? I got married at 25, divorced at 30. Those 5 years were the worst of my life. Married 10 years, 4 kids, happy, healthy, wish this for every man. Okay, there's another positive one. Firebox here. Smart man learns from the mistakes of others and paying for it dearly. Yeah, not seeing much. Been married to my ex for 8 years. Then one day she said she wasn't happy anymore. Oh well, life goes on. Okay, so there's a handful that came out at least positive. Okay, so there's some hope there for some of you guys if you want to march into a slaughterhouse. Esron, hey Rich, every time I meet a girl online for something casual, they ask me for too much time. I just wanted FWB when free and then focus on my mission. Every FWB I meet wants more. How do I deal with it? Good question, Esron. Let's deal with that. Let me take this out of the screen because I got to switch over to that email. So a friends with benefits relationship is a lovely thing. Men have them, women have them. In fact, they happen quite a lot nowadays. The problem, as this guy's experiencing, is at some point they want more. At some point, somebody catches the feels for the other beyond just a physical intimacy, and they go looking for more. So you've got to keep the frame set. If you've identified, like I talk about the red flags in my book, for example. So if you've identified that she's got like 5 brutal red flags, but they're not like she's physically violent, for example. So physical violence is a red flag that I'd say, don't even spin as a plate, not a friends with benefit, just get rid of her. Okay. You don't want to invite that problem in your life. Let's say she's got other red flags though, but they're not like something critical like physical violence. So he wants to spin her as a friends with benefits. Fine. Your availability is when it works for you. Maybe you see your FWB once a month. Maybe you see her once every couple of weeks, maybe once a week. I don't know, but it should never be more than once a week. And it should be clear that you're seeing other people. You're not concerned what she does with her time. You make sure that you're wearing a rubber when you're, with her, because she's obviously going to be out and about doing her things, and she's promiscuous, obviously, because she signed up for that. And you just leave it at that. And when she starts bothering you for more, it's like, no. I made it clear that this is the extent of how things are going to roll. I'm having fun with you. We're doing this, that, and the other thing, but that's it. And if she's got red flags and she's working on them and you want to turn her into more, hey, that's your choice. But if she's got red flags and you're not interested anymore, you just keep her at arm's length. And if she says that she wants more, otherwise she's going to go, you have to be fine with letting her go. You have to be okay. You have to have an abundance mindset. You have to have other options, because if you don't have other options, this is when guys get needy and they're like, okay, let's not just be friends with benefits. Let's have a relationship. Even though you previously identified she needs to be in an FWB category for your own mental sanity and your own safety and your own, growth in life. So hold those boundaries. You just have to hold those boundaries firm. All right. There's another super here. Bianco Nino. I recommended it as from a Muslim religious standpoint. If it was a modern woman, I would never recommend it. I'm happily married myself. You're going to find dudes that are from conservative, patriarchal, outside of Western world cultures are starting to get infiltrated by feminism. It's spreading. Okay. I've talked to guys in Russia. I've talked to guys in Asia. I've talked to guys in Muslim cultures. And, conventionally masculine, patriarchal type of cultures. And you are going to start running into this problem where you're going to have these women outside of the West turning into modern women, chasing careers, putting off, childbearing years for jobs, cutting their hair short, dyeing it purple, subscribing to feminist beliefs, being the victim of the patriarchy, all that sort of stuff. It's going to show up in other places. I'm not saying that you can't find a conventionally feminine woman in other places of the world, even in North America, right? You will be able to find some from time to time, but you're going to have to do some digging. All right. Let me grab the link to you guys hopping on. Do me a solid. If you haven't smashed the like button and you've just joined us, just hit it. Helps me out a ton. Ask a question live or challenge me. Now, by challenge me, do you have a better result, like solution to this problem than what I have? Because my solution is, let's plot out the map, read all the right material. Okay, plot out the map. Let's plot the landmines and say, look, you want to go do this. You want to have children. You want to go get married and not listen to my advice. You don't want to pay attention to what I said in the chapter about why smart men don't marry. Fine. Plot out the landmines and at least navigate it intelligently. So when you're walking into the slaughterhouse, you know exactly what you're walking into. Do you have a better solution than that? I want to hear it. Okay. The StreamYard link is dropped in the chat. You guys will be able to hop on. I'm going to be careful and not put this one up on the screen just because there's some things in here I got to skip over. He wanted me to leave out because he's a doctor and promised bullet points, not use my name, specialty of medicine, and city. Okay, so he wants me to call him a neurosurgeon in Atlanta. He has 60 pages of court documents. Let me just summarize what he sent over here. He meets his ex-wife in medical school. He had just turned 22, graduated from Harvard. She was the first girlfriend. I'm assuming this is, who he lost his virginity to, and maybe the same for her. We don't know. There were a lot of red flags. She clearly had borderline personality disorder, daddy issues. Her dad went to a federal prison for 4 years while she was in college for bank fraud. She was also a pathological liar. You guys will start to notice that the apple doesn't typically fall very far from the tree. If there's problems in the parental units, and she grew up in that household, that was the bar to which she set her life to, right? I think they say that most of children's development is usually done by about the age of 7 or 8 or 9, I think somewhere around that. Anyway, so dude goes to federal prison, bank, pathological liar. Somehow, due to my own internal deficiencies, now this is a smart guy. He went to medical school. He's a neurosurgeon, right? Even though his spidey senses picked up on this, he continues to accept her excuses for the various lies that she told. She insisted that we have sex for the first time when I was 22, a month after we met her, and then demanded that we get married right away since I took her virginity. She told me that she was a virgin when we met, and it turned out that she had actually been with 4 other guys before I met her. I found this out right before the wedding. I would have called off the wedding right at that point. Again, if you have options, if you've spun plates and you've contrasted and you've seen the good from the bad, then you have the ability to make those choices. His spidey senses said something to him before the wedding when he learned about the information, but he proceeded anyway. Her excuse was that she had been raped and went into a downward spiral. I want to sneeze and say a bullshit, but I don't have a sneeze coming, but you get the idea. 4 other guys, downward spiral. It was basically Pretty Woman, like the movie Syndrome. I wanted to fix her and tend her physiological, emotional, and material needs. Captain Save-A-Ho is what we call that. We had 2 sons together, now 21 and 19. Shortly after the birth of our first son, she became ultra abusive. Abuse, big red flag. Had he dated her a little bit longer? So one of the other things that I learned, which I picked up from Sean, his Tactical Guide to Women is a great book, and I talked about it in my book, is before you do anything like march into a slaughterhouse of marriage, date for at least a year and a half, 2 years, so you can see what she's made of. He bangs her a month after he meets her, and then she insists on getting married right after that. So he's basically known her for 2 months. You don't get to know somebody in 2 months. You're dating the actor. You're dating the representative. Anyway, 2 sons, she becomes abusive. He would have seen that likely if he dated her for at least a year and a half, 2 years before anything. She got her first job at Johns Hopkins as a dermatologist, and since I was still a resident in training, began to belittle me and use her status as the breadwinner for the family for 3 years to bully me into beta status. We moved, and I became the breadwinner as a neurosurgeon, but the abuse never stopped. I could fill a podcast with hours of examples of her absolutely traditional cultural background. Despite all of this, I maintain a great relationship. See, traditional cultural background is usually what guys usually shop for. And you think after 2 months of dating that you've got enough frame around it? No, year and a half, 2 years minimum. See what she's made out of. Despite all of this, I maintain a great relationship with my sons after about 10 more years. Couldn't handle it anymore and made plans, at least mentally, to exit quietly, divorce her, and move on. In mid-2013, I was looking for Disneyland tickets for my kids on the family home computer and found that she left her email open. Here we go. I found a file with a treasure trove of pornographic videos she had made with another guy. I was floored. She was always passing herself off as being religious and pious and constantly judgmental of how other women or girls that my kids went to school with had skirts that were too short. And yet she's making porn with other dudes while she's married to this man and abusing him. And he's a neurosurgeon. I tried to divorce her, but she kept threatening to kill herself. Most guys would have just walked away and let her, right? I stayed for another 18 months. 18 months. He signed up for another 18 months of torture. Moved into an apartment before moving back into the house when she claimed an overdose on benzos. And we worked out a post-nuptial agreement, giving her the $6 million mortgage-free house for another decade, while I paid half the costs. Primary physical custody of the kids, so she got the kids, and another $1 million to get the kids through high school. I was supposed to see the kids nights and weekends as our schedules allowed. I filed for divorce in 2015 when I realized that she was still having an affair. The details are unimportant, but I filed and moved out of the house into a small apartment, having given virtually everything I had away to this animal. By now, he's calling her an animal. She immediately began lying to the kids about why dad moved out of the house. What was I talking about earlier? Parental alienation, where the mother makes up this horse shit about what a terrible man the father is, which is almost entirely always crap. I became despondent and nearly hopeless until mutual family and friends approached me and told me that my ex-wife had told them. One of them was a female OBGYN, and she told me that she would help me see my sons if I showed her proof of the video. I reluctantly gave her a copy and fast forward a little to family law deposition where my ex-wife alleged that I had physically assaulted her. That I had physically assaulted our 16-year-old at tennis camp. It was a complete lie. I admitted to the distribution of the video to this female doctor. My wife filled criminal revenge porn charges against me and used the threat of criminal trial to settle demands for $6.5 million. $6.5 million. That's a lot of money. I refused and ultimately went to, keep in mind, she's banging other dudes on the side, making porn and leaving it on the computer while this dude's trying to book Disneyland tickets, and she wants $6.5 million and the house. I refused and ultimately went to trial where she stated these outrageous lies that I'd used the video to coerce her into a one-sided divorce agreement. Oh, shocking. Now she's making up stuff. I was convinced based on these lies, but it was ultimately expunged as the legal system and the DA's office became aware of her efforts to extort me and her perjury in the matter. They did nothing despite ample evidence and sworn statements. I'm telling you guys, women get away with so much in family law. We're almost done here. The assistant DA called me and told me in this climate of Me Too in the state that he lived in, it would be difficult to get a perjury conviction. This is a very liberal state, by the way. It would be difficult to get a perjury conviction on of her or her attorney, and had extensively discussed internally in the DA's office. She was a side bearer. Here's where my ex-wife was in charge of cash receipts for my practice and stole $800,000 in cash over 8 years. This biatch stole $800,000 from his business, made porn with some other dude when he's buying Disneyland tickets for the family, wants $6.5 million in a settlement and a $6 million home, and stole 800 grand from this dude from his practice over 8 years. Oh, hang on. It gets worse. And spent hundreds of thousands of the corporate credit card on her purses, shoes, personal travel to see her boyfriend, first-class international airline tickets for her parents while we were married. I'm sure she kept a good bit of the cash in a safe somewhere without my knowledge. Dudes, if you're going through a divorce and you have a terrible boating accident and you lose your nano ledger and all your cryptocurrency, don't feel bad. I'm telling you right now, it's okay. I've seen a lot of this. Far worse than what could ever happen. Anyway, she kept copies, Christian, U.S. Attorney General, went through federal grand subpoena, blah, 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 8 years comparing to computer records. More bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Never charged me. Did amend my tax returns. He spent $3 million on attorney fees over 5 years of the divorce. There is no limit to the extent to which a crazy woman will try everything to her disposal to ruin a good man. I'm going to say that again. There is no limit to the extent to which a crazy woman will try everything at her disposal to ruin a good man. Doesn't matter how good of a guy you are. Doesn't matter if you're a stand-up dude. Any woman, not all, but any woman can destroy a man in family court. Not all will do it, but any woman can. You have to understand that. There are a few takeaways here. A man should never marry before the age of 33. Every man should be aware of borderline personality disorder. You should never stay in a marriage with a crazy woman for the kids. Every man should have a prenup no matter what they get married, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's it. I mean, I don't want to go on banging on that one. But you get to the, you get the point. That's just one example of the millions of divorces that happen every year in North America. And yet every single day, some dummy wants to go march into the slaughterhouse that could completely derail him in a direction that ain't going to be good. All right, let me catch up on these supers here. We got a few callers in the background. Just give me a moment. What do we got here? Solution. Okay, we got the Muslim one. Let's see. So J-Pot. Solution. Have the religious ceremony, have the party, no marriage license. Thoughts. It doesn't matter. If you live in a way that the state deems to be a marriage, i.e. common law, you're married. If you have a kid, for example, the family law applies automatically, marriage or not. Like avoiding marriage is not enough anymore. Avoiding living in a way that the state can view as a marriage is what you need to be careful of. So, for example, you live with a chick for 3 years, you have a kid, you don't marry, but you live in a state that's hostile towards fathers, where common law applies, where there's a division of matrimonial assets, where there's child support, where there's alimony. It doesn't matter if you didn't get married. You're still technically married as far as the government's concerned. So one of the things you have to be careful about is, again, if you want to march in the slaughterhouse, at least do it somewhere where family law is more balanced. I don't know of any places in the world that I'm aware of. I mean, if you guys know, let me know, please. Put it in the comments, send me an email, DM me, whatever. But if there's a place in the world where family law gives preferential treatment to fathers, I'd like to know about it. I don't think it exists. As far as I can tell from what I've found out over the last 3 or 4 years of doing all this, it seems like there's places where family law is more balanced, meaning if you get divorced, it's default shared custody. There's no division of assets. You keep what you got, and there's no alimony, but there's child support if one parent has the children more than the other parent. But for the most part, if you find a place where it's balanced, meaning there's default shared custody of the children, that's a good start. That's what you want to look for. Move there, because you're going to have a better time or an easier time untying the knot, unlike the last email that I just read. You get my point, right? Techno Mage B5. with a super chat. It says 23 years, still married. Wife still adores me. A chat is too short to cover, but I will say this. The woman has to be willing to work on the relationship too. Her parts of it, team effort, or it's doomed. Totally agree. If she shows up and points and sputters at you all the time, it's your fault. It's the fault of the patriarchy. I was oppressed, blah, 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 fucking blah. My dad oppressed me. My boss oppressed. Like if you get involved with a chick that's a victim mindset and she doesn't work on her own stuff, that's what you're going to end up with. This guy, he happened to find one that works on her own stuff. He's got a follow to that. Note, generally do not recommend marriage due to state making impact of risk gone bad too high. Yeah. Marriage might be possible with a woman who is close to the man in wealth and income. That way she can't use them. She can still do a lot of stuff. Okay, so there's like dudes normally marry down, right? You know, it's usually Kevin from sales marrying Becky the hairdresser, right? He makes $250,000 a year. The VP of sales dude, she's cutting hair, making $40,000 a year. Kevin and Becky get together. They have their 2.1 kids. Doesn't work out. She wants to bounce. Her lifestyle went from $40,000 a year up to his $250,000 a year when they got married. When you untie the knot, she doesn't go back down to $40,000 a year, Becky the hairdresser. She's maintained at that level. That's how family law works in most places. You're maintained at that level at your expense. So no longer are you maintaining your one household. You don't have to maintain Kevin's household and Becky's household. And most of your money flows from your wallet to hers because she's generally the primary caregiver 80% of the time still, and she alienates you from the kids. That's usually what ends up happening. Now, can you marry a chick that's at the same level where she makes roughly the same amount of money as you? Sure. You probably won't have to pay alimony, and you probably won't have to pay child support if you share custody. That's the best case scenario. You're still going to go through some bullshit. You could still get hit with a false DV charge. There's a lot of things that could potentially happen that could throw a monkey wrench in that plan. So again, if you're going to do it, march into it with your eyes wide open. I'm still planning on putting out something this year for you guys that's going to organize all this, because this is a big question a lot of you ask. How do I minimize the risk? You know, what's a good way to go about doing this in the West now? I'm going to put it all together for you and package it up. You guys want to march into the slaughterhouse? This is your toolkit to minimize risk, is basically what I'm going to put it out as. I'm also going to put out something on how to get divorced like a boss, because there's too many guys out there that, you know, like the emails that I just read, you know, for example, if there's some planning done, some proper planning done, that you can really avoid a lot of the pitfalls of spending $3.5 million on, you know, court fees and her stealing $800,000 from your business and getting away with it. There's a lot that you can do. I was lucky. I had a really good lawyer, and I'm not stupid, so I figured it out on my own. But a lot of guys don't take the time to do that, or they just think the best of, you know, the outcome. You've really got to plan for divorce. There's a lot of work that has to come with untying the knot, and practically you should be the one initiating it, in my view. All right, let's go to these callers here. Let's see what we got in the private chat. What time is it? We got an hour, so we got about a half hour for calls. Let's see here. All right, let's hit Maddie's got a girl with a red flag that he's thinking about marrying. All right. Hey. What do you got? Hey. What do you got for me?
Hey, bro.
What's shaking?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
What's the red flag?
Okay, I've known her since a year.
Okay.
Or year and a half. As I got to know her, she turned out to have daddy issues. Her dad cheated on her mom, and he didn't divorce her. He just left her there living at her parents' house. She's super, super, super jealous. Today, actually, something happened. We were having dinner. We were breaking fast because it's Ramadan in Egypt.
Okay.
And I wanted to show her some photo on my phone. She saw that photo of me and that chick at the presentation we were having. So she just got silent, and she just sat there saying nothing. I tried to make a conversation, but she kept saying short answers, and she left. And half an hour later, she called me and she started crying like a little kid.
Crying about what?
Crying about you like you're a traitor. You traded me. You cheated on me. If put yourself in my shoes, imagine if you saw me with a guy. What would you do?
Did
And
you
as a
bang another chick, or was there just a picture of you with another chick?
no, just a picture, a normal picture, and at the
Dude,
presentation.
she's got some trauma from her childhood because she watched her mom,
Mhm.
tortured by the fact that her old man was smashing some other chick, which, by the way, from what I understand, is pretty common with Muslim culture, isn't it?
Actually, you don't get in Muslim cultures. We don't get to bang. You only get to have sex
Oh,
after
that's
married.
with your wives. I mean, so you can
Exactly.
take on more than one wife, but you're not
Ex- uh,
supposed to be banging outside of that marriage. Got it. Okay.
Precisely.
Okay. So she watched her mom suffer, and now anything that remotely resembles what might lead up to that suffering that she saw is why she's spazzing out right now. That's
Mhm.
not your problem. That's her problem. And
So,
what you have to basically say is, don't make your problems my problems. If you have trauma from your childhood, go deal with it. Find a therapist and go sort it out. Because I'm not going to go through the rest of my life involved with a chick that's constantly going to be monitoring me like a predator drone. I have that in my red flag chapter. If you guys, here, I'll throw the banner up so you can get it for free. But the
I got
ticker
your
on the
book, by the
bottom,
way.
yeah, so it's in the book, but I
Mhm,
mean, if you don't
mhm,
want to buy the book for whatever reason, you can
mhm,
get the red flag chapter here by opting into my email list,
mhm.
entrepreneursincars.com/red flags. And jealous women is in that chapter. I've dealt with my share of jealous women in my past. And I said it in the chapter, they're like a predator drone. They're going to monitor everything that you do. They're going to drive by your place when they're not coming over that night to see whose car is in the driveway. They're going to count your condoms. They're going to be looking for girls' fingerprints on your glass shower door and your mirror.
Wow.
Dude, they're going to go
Wow.
through your private shit. Like, they're going to go through your boxes, and they're going to find a stack of photographs from a girl that you dated maybe 10 years ago just because you keep your photographs in one area. And then she's going to make some big fucking deal about it, how you have a fucking shrine to some ex-girlfriend, and just like
Yeah.
spaz out about it. This is not that uncommon. I saw it quite a few times, in my life, dating chicks and LTRs that I had as well. And it's fucking exhausting. And I can tell you right now, a man at my age, I would never tolerate that again. So how old are you?
I'm 26.
Save yourself the bullshit and set that boundary right now. Okay. And if, like, is this a chick that you're dating? Like, have you claimed each other? You guys are monogamous? Like, what's the story?
We're both working at the same place. She and I, like what we met at we started chatting a little bit. We became friends, and the thing escalated. She confessed her love to me at the
She
beginning.
obviously thinks that you guys are monogamous because she's getting pissed off by even just a photograph that she comes across in your phone, right?
Yes,
So
but
are you being monogamous with her?
by monogamous, you mean I don't have other choices?
Sexually exclusive.
Of course not. No.
Okay. So you need to be clear to her then. You need to let her know, I don't believe in monogamy. I'm seeing other women.
Mhm.
If she's your main girl and you want to claim her as, like your main chick, fine, do that. But at least like set that boundary so you don't have to deal with a clandestine bullshit, right? Because that's what's going to end up happening. She's always going to be up your ass about something. You're going to have to behave in a suspicious manner. You're going to have to, it's going to be cloak and dagger. You're going to have to work behind the scenes. I mean, if that's what you want to do, at least be honest about it and say, look, Wednesday nights is my night to smash strange. So you can't come around. That's what I'm doing. You're just going to have to accept that's what I'm doing. But the rest of the time, I'm all yours. I'm not going to embarrass you. I'm not going to bring strange by restaurants that we go to together. I'm not going to embarrass your family. I'm not going to rub it in your face. I'm not going to post pictures of any strange. Like, you have to basically break it down like that. And if she's okay with that, you move on. But I can tell you right now, a chick like that is not going to be okay with it.
In the future, after even if I married her.
this chick, if she doesn't deal with the fact that you're non-monogamous, is going to be on you like a fat kid on cake. She's never going to let up. She
Ouch.
will make your life a living nightmare if you get married to her. I can tell you right now.
Ouch. Even if she is super obedient.
She's not super obedient because she doesn't stay in your frame. She sees a picture of you with another chick and she spazzes out.
She literally does everything I say. I say, come to meet me right now. She comes.
Good.
Do that. She does it. Don't do that. She takes permission. Even if she wanted to go out with her girls, she says, Mahdi, should I go? If I said yes, yes. No, it's a no.
Good. So, okay, so she's in your frame in all other areas, with the exception, of the fact that you don't want to be sexually monogamous to her.
Exactly.
So just tell her that. That's who I am. That's what I'm going to be. And if you have a problem with that, you can go date some other motherfucker.
Oh God.
See, but you can only do that if you come from a place of abundance, right? You can only do that if you're okay with letting her walk.
I actually gave that to her face. I told her, you're not exclusive. I can date other women. If you're not okay with me, you can go. I don't give a shit.
Good. That's all that you have to do. Then you just have to hold that position firm, right? And if she goes, she goes. But if she's going to stay, there's no more, surveillance. There's no more, crocodile tear, cry fests over what are you doing on Wednesday night? Who's this girl that keeps liking all your pictures on social media?
Yes.
Right. Because that's what they'll do. Like, they'll start creeping the shit out of you. Like, they'll look at your social media posts. They'll see who likes them. They'll look at the comments, and then they'll try and and then they'll start messaging them. Hey, you look familiar. You look like a girl that I went to university with. Do we know each other? And then try to cause, dude, jealous women. It's either comply or goodbye. If she's not going to comply with the rules that you set and the way that you want to run the relationship with her, it's goodbye. There's other women out there that will fall into your frame. Okay, there's other women out there that'll be okay with Maddie, spinning some plates from time to time on the side, as long as you don't embarrass. Like, general rule is you don't embarrass her. You don't bring strange to nightclubs, restaurants. You don't do overnight dates, with them or anything like that. You generally don't want to embarrass her, right? Like, if you look at the model that most of Europe uses, especially around the Mediterranean, it's very different from North America. Like, North America, when it comes to that sort of activity, is I'm going to declare monogamy, but in a clandestine way, I'm going to be adulterous. Esther Perel talks about that in her books. That's the way they run it in North America. In Europe, it's like, okay, my husband's at work and he comes home at 8 o'clock, and I know between 5 and 8 he does whatever he does, as long as he doesn't embarrass me. He doesn't put any risk to the family, to the children. There's no money that's being taken. Like, there's still food in my kid's mouth. And then they just look the other way, right? Queen Elizabeth, a classic example, looked the other way several times when Prince Philip was smashing Strange on the side. She found out about it. And she just looked. This is the Queen of England. Okay.
Oh my God.
Women are okay to share a high value alpha.
Even in Egypt, we can't. A man get to marry up till 4 women in Egypt. In Muslim cultures, you get to marry 4.
I know, dude. I was talking to Craig from Abu American, and he's telling me about all the wives that he's had. Dude's had 12 wives. I think he's got 2 or 3 right now. I would not want more than 1 wife. I can't fathom living with 4 fucking women. Like, why? Like, why would you bring that up? Especially with modern women today? Like, could you, one modern woman's enough? You put 4 in the mix? Forget about it.
Oh shit.
Anyway, did that help you out?
It's exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rich.
Okay, good. Thanks, man. All right. Chris has some interesting comments here. I saw how pop up. Where are they? Women only want to see multiple men in response to a man seeing multiple women. True. It's a tactic to try and get him out to commit and be monogamous. Also true. Tiger Woods' wife looked the other way for years. It wasn't until she was embarrassed on a global scale that she had a problem with it. To my point exactly. Okay. If you're going to do something outside of the relationship, let her know that you're doing it, but also let her know that you're not going to embarrass her, that you're not going to go out of your way to make her look bad, or to put her health at risk, or to take, food out of your children's mouth or to take a roof off the family's head. I've talked to a lot of guys on consults in various stages of their relationships, whether they're getting married, they're married, or they're getting divorced. Talked to several guys whose wives just looked the other way. They didn't care. They didn't care. As long as the kids and the household was taken care of and she wasn't exposed to any kind of disease or anything like that, fine. Do what you got to do. Go make bank, chase excellence, be a good father. I don't care. Got some supers here. Cohabitation smooth. Okay, we got one here from Wes E. Says, can you talk about how to get out of a cohabitation situation? Any ways to make sure it's as smooth as possible? New apartment before ending, record breakup, etc. If you don't have kids, who cares? Just go. Just get out as soon as possible. There's nothing holding you back if you don't have children. Don't overcomplicate it. Just do whatever works for you, bro. Steve J says, enjoy your content, Richard. You're welcome. Appreciate that. Always happy to hear the positive feedback, dudes. It's always appreciated. So thank you. All right, let's go to the private chat and see what we got here. Looks like I got time for like one more call before I got to switch over. I have a 2-year-old son. Give me a second. I just got to read these to pick the best one. Cohabitate. Okay, where's Dan? Are you still there? Dan, there you are. Okay, Dan, I'm going to pull you in. All right, what's shaking, dude? You've got the 2-year-old son?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a rundown. I'll try to write it down so I don't waste your time.
Yeah, just
so a long-time listener. Married for about 6 years now. I am happily married. I've had hiccups and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what I know now, I would have recommended. I probably would have never would have got married if I know what I knew now, mainly learning from you. But I wish I would have learned this stuff when I was 20. I would have had a different life. I was blue pill for a long time. So basically, I have a son that I'm going to raise to not make the same mistakes that I did. So, I'm going to teach him to be more red pilled, chase excellence. If you want to date a girl in high school, fine. Don't try to be an LTR, things like that. And conclusion I came up to is that when it comes to the red pill stuff, it seems pretty straightforward for when you're trying to raise a son to be a productive male in society. But now that I have a daughter coming, I'm curious, how do you apply this mindset if you're raising a daughter?
It's different. It's a different conversation because I've got a daughter, and I'm not going to train her to put her career ahead of childbearing years. I'm not going to train her to embrace, the toxic feminist narrative. Obviously, all of those things are like a lot of the stuff that you talk to your daughter about should be closely aligned to what you talk to your son about. But I mean, it's slightly different conversations. Like, you would encourage your daughter to get married because everything's in her favor. Like, why wouldn't you tell her, yeah, sure, you want to get married and have kids?
I do agree. But like,
don't marry a loser. Find a guy that's got competency skills. Vet the father, vet the potential husband type of material, which is what your role should be as a father, to make sure she doesn't do something dumb like go get married to some idiot. And for your son, it's a different conversation. I mean, if I had a son, I wouldn't tell him to get married. It's fucking crazy, man. I mean, if you do, then this is what the slaughterhouse looks like. Here, here's the map with all the landmines. I would go live somewhere that's not hostile towards father, and kind of go down all of those checklists sort of things. So it's a different set of conversations that you're going to have with boys and girls.
There's that straightforwardness that I was talking about, because I do agree with you. It's better that the man is older if the girl is younger, but I'm seeing that being a contentious conversation, with the way society is, or just in general. Said like you just said, get married during childbearing years, don't focus on your education. That's kind of a hard thing to swallow for a lot of people in at least today's society. So I'm just not sure how to approach it like that. I mean, if it seems to me like you're just telling me just be blunt about it.
Well, the biggest thing with the children, Dan, is they watch more of what you do and less of what you say, right? Mm-hmm. So they're going to follow your lead. So you, as the man of the house, need to lead masculine, virtuous, strength, courage, masculinity, all that sort of stuff. Show your son what a man's supposed to look like. And for your daughter, you need to show her what
Yeah, I agree with
a
that.
proper guy needs to look like, that she's going to want to wife up. Don't be a career criminal like this dude, married this, chick with the daddy issues, sort of things. You need to have a good relationship with both the kids, but it's a different kind of relationship with boys versus girls. It's a different set of conversations you're going to have with boys versus girls. Like, boys need to create value. Okay. Like,
Right.
boys need to learn how to make bank, be masculine, signal masculinity, have a good network and all that sort. Like, women just need to show up and look pretty and preserve their value, which means
Yeah, and I do agree with that, but I just
don't
think
sleep around.
I just think that bluntly saying that is not going to go very well with anyone I speak to.
Well, with everything around you, with media, Hollywood, Netflix, news, school, like even in schools today, schools are encouraging children to push back on their household, cultural rules. Like, I've seen teachers underhandedly try to tell children, like, oh, like, how dare you assume the gender of somebody, right? Like, why would you just assume their gender? There's more than two genders. Like, teachers are teaching children this, and then your child may come home and be like, well, what are you talking about? There's only men and women. But they're getting a different message from the school system. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, you're going to be fighting all the inputs all the way around you all the time. The best things that you could do is homeschool your kids and have your wife on board with doing something like that, so that they're not exposed to all that unnatural bullshit out there.
Well, to that, the good thing is my wife didn't grow up in this country. She's very feminine, and she's submissive towards me. And I've changed a lot over the years. Mainly from watching your content, because I've just taken an attitude of no bullshit. Like, this is the way I want to do it. You can do what you want to do. Like, if you want to, do whatever you want in the garden. This is my space. I do this in my room. Like, I just don't take any of the bullshit anymore. I used to be that way where if she was mad, I would be like, oh, I did something wrong. Got to figure out some way to.
No, you got to
bring
lead,
your chocolate
bro.
flowers. No, that,
Yeah, you got to lead. You got to
definitely not
stop
anymore.
saying sorry, so much to women. You got to stop stamping everything yes, yes, yes when they ask for shit.
Yeah, that's what I've done, and I've seen the immediate results. Because like the person that I wasn't the person that I am now when I got married. So I was already more red pilled at the time I got married, although I didn't know what it was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I only started seeing you maybe about a year ago. So I was getting more red pilled before I got married, but I just didn't understand, what it was called or what it really was until I got the clarity.
So read Rollo's third book on positive masculinity as well, because he talks a lot about parenting. You've obviously got my book there, but I mean, you need to refresh yourself on a constant basis. Like, in my view, for a guy in your position, if you want to instill positive masculine values in your son and positive feminine values in your daughter, I would listen to Rollo's book series, like get it on Audible, listen to it while you drive, if you can kind of find time, like once every year or so. Yeah, it's in the book list.
Okay.
I'd find time at least once a year to go through it, just to refresh yourself until it like sets in and it's part of your firmware, and it makes you think before you act in many situations where you previously would just default to like plugged in lies. Like, the whole point of unplugging is to stay unplugged. The problem is, as guys, is plugs like to go back in the plug, right? Because that's where they fit comfortably. But you need to unplug from all the lies, and that's going to take constant reminders. I'm not saying sit here and watch like all my videos or anything like that, but at least on a consistent basis, make sure you keep yourself in check, because you're the one leading the household. Your son and your daughter, when she comes along, are going to be following your lead, and you got to be on your game all the time. I've said this before. When you get married and you have kids, you have to be on your purpose your entire life. You can't relax. Like, that's how most guys get divorced, is they get married and the kids come along, then they're like tired and they're not sleeping and they feel like watching sports sometimes. Their wife's a bitch. They're not banging. They start to hate each other. You're getting fat. She's getting fat. You start having hall sex where you kind of walk down the hallway and you just say F you. That's what hall sex is. And then they end up getting divorced. And then you're in a position now where the kids are going to be like, 11 and 9. And, your wife is like, I've had enough. I think I can do better. And Now you're maintaining 2 households. You've been alienated from the children that you're talking to me today about wanting to raise properly, right? Positive masculine values, positive feminine values. And you've just lost that entire ability to do any of that because 80% of the time they're with the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's incredibly important that you don't go through betatization through 1,000 concessions, which I talk about in the book. So you understand that part.
Yeah, that's something I'm very keen on.
You'll notice it now, right? Like you'll start to notice it.
I have this clarity now because I see it. I mean, even before I read like half of this already. Like, you know, the little things, like, you know, the little guilt trips, little passive aggressive things. Like,
Right.
you know, I've aside from, you know, learning red pill stuff, I've also watched a lot of stuff on narcissism, which is another thing I really wish I knew when I was 20, you know, because now seeing that and knowing what the precursors that and be able to stamp it out before it even happens, you know, I find that me being more firm, being more the no nonsense guy, or being the, you know, the old school alpha male, like whatever they call it now, that's derogatory. Yeah. I'm seeing better results. I see the little things like, wow, you know, he's being a dick, but, you know, it's kind of sexy actually.
So stay on that purpose, stay on that course. Like that's what the answer is to all of this, is make sure that you're on that grind. Cool.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
All right, man. We'll see you later. Peace. Okay, I got to wrap up the show. I know there's a few guys in the waiting area, but I have to move on to my community broadcast. I do shows right after this one at 9:30, so I have to start to wrap up. Let me quickly grab these supers to see if there's anything that I missed. Enjoy the content. Got a dude asking about vasectomy. So when and why consider a vasectomy? If you're absolutely sure that you don't want to have kids ever, sure. There's some things to consider. Sometimes they don't always work. Like they're not 100% foolproof. So you're going to need to stay on top of that. And there can be complications. I mean, you know, you're cutting into your body. So just understand, you know, when you go into that, if you're in an LTR, for example, you'd be better off putting an IUD in her than getting a vasectomy. Vasectomy is pretty permanent. IUD is not. And IUD is pretty much just as effective anyway. Greenland or Green Spud Trade says, could you describe how her attitudes and personalities might change towards you when she's ready to divorce? Yeah, definitely. You're going to notice there's little to no intimacy. She's going to be very, very bitchy and disagreeable. And she's going to have a lot of girls' time. Got to get together with the girls. We got to go out to the cottage overnight, to Vegas, to New York, or something like that. Those are usually the main signs. And she's going to be on her phone a lot. Anecdotally, I hear it's like a switch where she loves you one day and hates you the next. No, it's... Okay. Yes, sometimes, but generally speaking, when the intimacy, the agreeableness, the bitchiness, you know, escalates, the escalation of time with her girlfriends, that's when you know that she's pretty much checked out. And you should definitely do some planning to exit so that you don't get ground through the divorce grounder brutally. The Ugly D, what's a PHP? I'll have to look that up. No divorce where I live, only legal separation. How do you look at the legal train to determine if marriage is a more viable option? I just wouldn't get married, dude. I mean, unless you live in a place where it's friendly to fathers or it's required by cultural or religious norms in that country, you know, specifically, you know, like we were talking to Maddie earlier, he's Muslim, you can have up to 4 wives sort of thing. You know, those cultural boundaries around there is widely accepted. It's dominant in that culture. Then maybe you might want to look at that. But generally speaking, let me look up what PHP currency is so I get an idea where you live. PHP, Canadian dollar. Let's see what PHP is. Oh, Filipino. Okay. Yeah, very Catholic culture there. So sure, go get married, you know, if you really want to, but only legal separation. Yeah, so that's very tied into the church. I mean, now you're starting to get into religious stuff, which I'm not world class at, if I'm being honest. So I'll leave it at that, but you get the general idea. Thanks for doing the podcast. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. Esron, excelling in tech, 6-figure, 28-year-old. However, I'm scared of speaking my mind and losing my job because of liberalism in tech. Any advice? Keep your mouth shut is option 1. Option 2, create your own business so you don't have to keep your mouth shut. and lead your own business. And that way you can give them that. Okay. Those would be my last piece of advice. All right. Going to wrap it up and move on to my community broadcast. If you guys are watching from the community, I'll be there in a second. You've got the Zoom link. Give me a few moments. I just have to shout out to the channel sponsor over my shoulder, Grondike Soap, Tactical Soap, Beard Oil, Pheromone Sticks. Awesome products. They've been a long time sponsor of the channel. You guys are showering anyway. If you've enjoyed the content and you want to support the creation of it, get this stuff. It also is all natural. It does not disrupt your endocrine system. Most of the crap you guys are using in the giant bulk boxes at half the price of this stuff has endocrine disruptors. There's a cast on the Playing to Win series on my channel with Dr. Anthony J. He wrote a book called Estrogeneration. If you don't want to read the book, watch that cast. He talks about why you don't want to use endocrine disrupting toiletry products on your body. It's part of the reason why there's so much soy out there and weak men. So that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. That was a good show. Covered a ton. If there's somebody that needs to see this, share it with them. If you haven't grabbed my book yet, it's on Amazon. It is also available on Audible. I did read and narrate the Audible version, so it's in my voice. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you've read the book or consumed it in Audible, leave a review on Amazon. It helps me out a ton. It's helping out a lot of guys. So check it out. And I'll be back next Monday. Got a lot of stuff to put out on the channel over the next few weeks. Got a lot of recordings I got to edit. And I did get my first video done today in the McLaren. So that'll be out soon. It's starting to warm up here. So hopefully you guys are going to see a lot more of that. We'll see you guys in the next